Hello YouTube, thank you for stopping by. As always, please click like if you happen to enjoy this video. Please click on subscribe, and if you would like to be notified when I publish future videos, be sure to click on the bell-shaped notify button. Alrighty then. This is part 5 of a multi-part series on my 2x72-inch tilting belt grinder project based on the plans made by Jeremy Schmidt, a very talented YouTuber who is a woodworker, metalworker, and maker. You can get his plans from his website, and I think it cost me something like 20 bucks. Quite a bargain if you ask me. In this video, I'm cutting more metal to be used with the Platen roller assembly, getting those parts lined up and welded together. I'm getting the drive wheel and tracking wheels mounted, test fitting the Platen roller assembly, and getting the belt test fitted. I still haven't made the torsion spring for the tracking assembly yet, but hopefully I'll get to that as well. Anyways, that's the plan. Let's see how far I can get. So once again, my camera died while I was mocking things up. I went ahead and mounted the drive wheel, the tracking wheel, and the two idlers. It's not tracking very well. Well, it's not tracking at all, and it's got a few different issues. One issue was that the one of the mounting bolts for the motor itself was right in line with the belt path, and I had to remove that bolt. I'm going to countersink this hole down and install a flathead bolt. The motor is not square to the Platen tube. The wheel itself, if I hold this straight edge up to it, I should have a straight line, but it's off just a little bit, which basically means that I have to skew the motor. I'll have to put some shims behind these two bolts behind this plate. So between the motor and the mounting plate, and that'll skew the motor ever so slightly in this direction. Now the problem with that is that I've got gussets on the top and bottom for rigidity, and I might have to cut those out to have access to those bolt holes unless I hold the shims in place with tape. It also means that I might have to take the motor off and put it back on multiple times to get the right amount of shims installed. Another issue that I've got is that the tracking wheel is not square to this Platen tube as well. While I'm still missing a spring for tensioning, but the while the tracking will do the typical up and down, it's not set up in such a way that it can be adjusted in this direction. So I've got to come up with a solution for that. Lastly, the Platen and idler wheel assembly just has way too much slop in it, even when I tighten these down. So I've got to come up with another solution. And these idler wheels are not square to the motor drive wheel as well. It's got just way too many welds, and of course when you weld metal it warps. So dealing with a lot of little issues that when accumulated create bigger issues, at least with regards to tracking. Since I'm going to be redoing some of this tracking assembly, I've also decided that I'm going to replace this 1/2 inch by 13 threads per inch. I'm going to replace this with a finer thread, 20, a 1/2 inch by 20. So this is going to change as well. That'll give me some finer control, some finer adjustment. So anyways, time to take the motor off, and I think the first thing we'll do is try to countersink this hole and get it prepped for a flathead bolt. So let's get started with that. So I took a longer 2" by 2" square tube, clamped a a section of 2x4 as well as this straight edge so that it's running on the flat. It's flat up against this. And so that's my reference. I then measured the distance from that flat edge to the top of the plate, the motor mounting plate. And of course, each and every one of these has a different measuring point. So based on those, the one that's furthest away from the edge is this guy here. So that's going to be my reference, and we'll add shims to the inside edge of the other three to bring the motor in line, and then all 4 points will be at the same distance as far as the motor is concerned. The faceplate of the motor, the mounting surface of the motor, will all have the same distance to this edge, which should make the motor's shaft perpendicular to this flat edge, square to that flat edge. And hopefully that'll help resolve part of the tracking problems. Okay, so the shims are in place, held in place with some blue painter's tape. I've got, I measured to a 32nd of an inch, and after calculating, I ended up needing 2 1/16 inch shims and 1 1/8 inch shim. Now we're going to get the motor mounted. All right, so we have our shims in these 3 positions on the back side. This one not shimmed because it was the farthest away from our reference point. Now all of these have been shimmed and tightened. That should make this shaft square to this bar. And might be able to check that. Well, this is an inexact measurement, but at least now with the straight edge held flat against this 2x2 square bar, when I look at the flat of this shaft from an eyeball measurement, I don't see a difference in pitch like I did before. So we're at least a lot closer than we were. Although I have shimmed out the motor and have the motor square to the platen and the idler wheel assembly, or platen frame as it's called, it's still not tracking correctly. I noticed some alignment issues with the idler wheels themselves and used my oxyacetylene torch to heat up a couple sections of metal and tweak them into better positions. It really isn't good enough, and I don't want to waste any more time on it this weekend. So I've ordered a flat plate style replacement for this idler wheel assembly, platen support assembly, platen frame, whatever you want to call it, and that should take care of a lot of the alignment issues. Anyways, it's a made-to-order part, and unfortunately I will not get it for a couple weeks, it seems. Until then, this project will have to sit on the back burner for a while. Okay, I think that's it for this video. As always, please click like if you enjoyed this video. Please click on subscribe, and if you would like to be notified when I publish future videos, be sure to click on the bell-shaped notify button. Bye for now.